Hi, I'm Dr. Boyce Watkins from Financial Juneteenth, and I wanted to talk for a second about something that has really got my attention. I don't know why has been so interesting to me. I guess because it's so interesting to so many other people right now, and I wanted to kind of try to provide some perspective on this. Um, Jay-Z has gotten some criticism because recently he did the freestyle on stage where he kind of invoked. Some say he was playing the race card, or at the very least, he talked about racism, discrimination he was experiencing as a result of people not being okay with him making a lot of money from his Tidal streaming service, largely because you had a lot of people that feel that maybe a black man shouldn't have that kind of money, or a black man shouldn't be allowed to be independent, or whatever. So anyway, he invoked the names of Trayvon Martin, Freddie Gray, Michael Brown, etc., into a freestyle rap where he basically said he was a victim of discrimination. So a lot of people paid attention to that. A lot of people supported him on that. But then, shortly after that, this picture circulates in which Jay-Z and Beyonce are taking a picture with all the employees from Tidal, and every single employee in the picture, and you talk about like 30 people maybe, every single person in the picture is white except for Jay-Z and Beyonce. Now, what's been interesting is that I've heard both sides. I've heard some people say this shows that it's a farce. They were manipulating their blackness in order to get black support. In case you don't know, a lot of networks start off by building up their black base so that they can then cross over to white folks once they get black people supported. And black people are kind of like, I always say black people are like economic whores to corporate America. And I really mean this because a lot of people say that black people don't create jobs, but actually we create a lot of jobs for a lot of people because black people consume a lot of media, and we're not always thinking about owning things and building things and creating things for ourselves. We're usually thinking, okay, how can I get on top of this latest technology? How can I buy the newest iPhone, buy the newest Jordans, whatever? And people know that. That's why, and Dame Dash actually talked about this as well. A Jewish man had made a joke that black people are like liquid money, where liquid, you pour water. If I pour this liquid into my hands, it'll just seep through. Well, black people don't hold on to their money. Every other ethnic group holds on to their money. If you go put up a business in an Arab neighborhood or a Chinese neighborhood, you might as well not even do it because they're really not going to support you before they support their own. And black people are the only group of people who don't really do that. So with that being said, a lot of people felt that Jay-Z was trying to do what a lot of media outlets do, build the black base and use the black consumer to support him when he couldn't get the mainstream support that he's looking for. Oprah did that as well with the Oprah Winfrey Network. She tried to go diverse, mainstream. That didn't work. So what did she do? She signed a deal with Tyler Perry, brought Tyler in. Tyler puts on a couple of shows. Boom, the network's taken off, and it's built on the backs of black consumers. The Fox network is making a ton of money off of the show Empire. So ABC is doing this with Scandal and How to Get Away with Murder. They know how black people think. They know that black people consume media. We become loyal to products. The Jordan brand has made a ton of money off of black people. So a lot of people just kind of know the black consumer. They aim for the black consumer, and it's a very strategic kind of thing. So a lot of people felt that Jay-Z was doing that. In fact, when it was leaked that Jay-Z and Beyonce paid the bail for a bunch of Baltimore protesters and went and took a few pictures, a lot of people felt like that was that it wasn't a coincidence, that it just so happened that at that very same time you had them launching their Tidal service. That some people think it might have been a publicity stunt. I don't know about all that. I'm not saying all that. But here's one thing that was really interesting as well, and I'm still confused about this. So please leave comments, and you can educate me on this because I'm trying to understand how this kind of flipped. I was watching this interview with Vania Schlogel, who was a chief investment officer at Tidal. And she went on to the Wall Street Journal television show and basically said, Jay-Z's not the owner of Tidal. She said Jay-Z is not the majority owner of Tidal. Not just, a lot of people thought he was the big boss, that he owned it all. She said, no, he not only does he not own it all, he doesn't even own a majority of the company. The company is a consortium of various artists who all own pieces of the company. Jay-Z made a loan to the company for $56 million at a very competitive interest rate, and that's the most that he did for the company. Now, this is a huge flop because everybody's been talking about Jay-Z as the boss. Everybody's been talking about this as the boss. In fact, if you look up Tidal on their Wikipedia page, you will see repeatedly that it's mentioned all throughout there with references to media reports that Jay-Z bought Tidal. Jay-Z bought Tidal. Project Panther, a company owned by Jay-Z, is according to their Wikipedia page, they purchased a Spiral. A Spiral owns Tidal. right? So they bought the parent company, and that's kind of the language that's been used up until this point. And then suddenly there's this interesting flip flop where she's suddenly saying, no, 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 Jay-Z's not the majority owner. This ain't all about Jay-Z. And you can't help but wonder if this is a strategy as well to kind of dilute the attention away from Jay-Z, because Jay-Z's been getting this controversy. He's been accused of talking about racism. Whenever you talk about racism, that kind of causes you to lose your value in mainstream America. When I started talking about racism at Syracuse University, that was when people started targeting me to be fired, right? So, and I'm not mad about it because I make a whole lot more money. I'm doing a whole lot better than I was when I was working for them. So sometimes getting fired, just so you know, it's just like relationships. Sometimes you get dumped by one person and you're happy about it because you find somebody so much better. That was kind of how my life went. So I'm not, there's no ill will. I ain't thinking about those little people. I just, every now and then I'll bring it up as an example because I will talk bad about them if it comes up, but there's no hard feelings. But anyway, the point is that I think that Jay-Z, because he was so vocal about race, suddenly I think that there are probably people in the background, his handlers, who are saying, okay, we need to take the focus off of him and make this about your favorite artist. So no, Jay-Z, this ain't about Jay-Z. Supporting Tidal is not supporting Jay-Z. Supporting Tidal is about supporting Madonna and Rihanna and Beyonce and Dead Mal, whatever that group is called, and all these other groups that are connected with Tidal. That's what supporting Tidal is all about. I can't help but wonder if that's a strategy, because if you go all through their Wikipedia page, there's nothing but all kinds of stuff saying Jay-Z bought it, Jay-Z bought it, Jay-Z bought it, Jay-Z bought it. And then suddenly it's like, no, Jay-Z didn't buy it. He doesn't own it. That's confusing to me. The other thing that came to mind that was really interesting was that a lot of people were saying, well, look, Tidal was based in Sweden. It's a Swedish-Norwegian company. I think that's how they listed it. It was in Sweden. There aren't a lot of black people in Sweden. So, people were giving him flack about no black people being in the picture. And they were like, no, but there's no black people for him to hire. He can't put anybody in positions, blah, blah, blah. And on one hand, that's an interesting argument. I listened to that. I thought about that. And it is a credible kind of remark. But the problem with that is twofold. One, if you're going around and you're saying you're the boss and you have this power in the company, it's easy to argue that you could find people. You could find, if it was really important to have black people in there, he could have black people in there. He's Jay-Z. He can do a lot of what he wants. So when you have $1 billion, you can do a lot of stuff. Two, Jay-Z made a lot of staffing changes with Tidal after that first press conference they had where things didn't go so well. So, if you're removing this person and replacing that person, some people might say, well, why don't you put a brother in there? Put some sisters in there. You got a lot of black techies, a lot of black people that want to work with Jay-Z, that love you, have admired you your whole life. Let them work next to you. And again, maybe there are black people that do work with Jay-Z and Beyonce. It's just in that picture, you didn't see any. But actually, I did see another report that says he actually fired the entire Swedish staff. So all the Swedes got fired. So, and this was April 30th. So if you fired the whole Swedish staff, well, who's the new staff? And in this picture that's circulating on the internet, that's my question now. Is this the old staff they got fired? Or is this the new staff they got hired? If it's the new staff, I mean, that's kind of bad, right? Because the other thing is Tidal is not a company that just operates in Sweden. It's a company that operates around the world. So you have people working with this company around the world because you got to sell. You're not going to sell Tidal just in Sweden. You're selling Tidal in America. You're selling it in China. You're selling it in Africa. You're selling it all over the globe. So I think that we have to be really careful about sort of falling for this idea that it would be impossible to hire black people. That Jay-Z, he could just try his hardest and all the great things he can do, yes, but hiring black people is just not one of them. That's just one thing he just cannot do. It's just too hard. It's impossible to find black people to work. I don't think that's true. I know a lot of black people, very talented black people, educated black people, very skilled black people who would love to work with Jay-Z, who would fly to Sweden and work next to those white folks in Sweden if they had to. When I went to Sweden, I saw black people in Sweden. There are over 100,000 black people right there in Sweden and another few million around the world that would be happy to come to Sweden or work remotely. Also, remember, these people are not just selling it in Sweden. They're going around the world pushing Tidal. So you've got people around the globe that are part of this joint effort to make this thing successful. So I think we got to just be real careful about sort of writing black people off, because any of you who've ever worked in corporate America, you know how corporate America operates. You can go into a department that has never hired a black person, that doesn't have any black employees, and if you go to the managers and you say, well, why are there no black people here? Where are the brothers at? Where are the sisters at? Where are the black people at? they'll always give you an excuse. They'll always explain to you why it was impossible for them to achieve the diversity. For a lot of corporations, diversity ain't nothing but this. We're gonna write you a nice little statement and tell you that we believe in diversity, but yet they're not going to do anything to actually implement diversity because they know that talk is cheap and they know that there's nothing forcing them to implement the changes that are necessary to make their company diverse and more inclusive. And that becomes, part of the dilemma that so many of us face, because there is this myth that all these corporations are seeking qualified black people. Is if they can't, and this is another insulting thing they say. They'll say, well, we searched the whole world. We searched all over the planet to try to find black people to work for us who could do the job. And there's just no black people out there qualified to do the job. And you believe that, so you go in that environment. You're the first black person they ever hired. And you really believe that you're the first black person to be qualified for that job. And that's just a lie. There are lots of qualified black people out here who are just as qualified as whites. And I really get concerned when I hear black people even defending that idea that somehow we're just less qualified and less capable than whites, and that's why we don't get the jobs and they do. That's not true. They get the jobs because of discrimination, because of cronyism, because of systematic racism from hundreds of years of whites extracting wealth out of black communities, building their empires, and taking care of their own, which is something that black people just, as a collective, we really still have to learn how to do. So anyway, that's about it. You can hear from my tone and my voice, I don't have a vendetta against Jay-Z, but at the same time, I'm not afraid of Jay-Z, so it's kind of like a mixed bag. It's like, well, I'm not going to hate on you just because you're rich and famous, but I'm not going to love you just because you're rich and famous. My loyalty really is to the people. My loyalty is to you. That's what I'm here for, and I kid you not, that's as plain as I can say it. I'm here for you. I'm not here for all these corporate coons out here and these people out here just trying to tap dance for $1. And I'm not saying Jay-Z's like that, and I didn't even mean to use the word coon. That's kind of a mean word to use. So let me take that back. I'm not here for the people that are here just out here worshiping money. I'm here to do the best I can to be as righteous for the people that I care about and the people that have my back, and I got your back too. And that's the most I can do. It doesn't mean I won't make a mistake. Doesn't mean I'm not going to fuck up at some point, because I know that I will. But maybe when I do, I hope you'll remember this, and I hope you'll have my back, because at some point, believe me, I'm sure somebody's going to try to take me down. That's the way it goes down. But anyway, that's all I want to say. I'm Dr. Boyce Watkins from Your Black World, and just so you know, we have a new film out called Resurrecting Black Wall Street. That's about the Black Wall Street Massacre in Tulsa, Oklahoma back in 1921, where black people were murdered and shot on the doorstep, locked up, had their wealth taken away in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Very wealthy blacks, doctors, lawyers, business people, had millions of dollars, multimillionaires, had their wealth stolen by whites. Those whites still control that wealth. They still have that money, and they never gave it back. So I think this is a story every black child in America needs to hear, and it's also a story that we really need to talk about. We need to push it in people's faces. When you talk about this kind of stuff, when you talk about racism and all that stuff, it's not an easy game. You'll never get permission from your oppressor to stand up for yourself. You have to just do it, and you have to struggle, and you have to realize that everybody ain't gonna like you when you go out here telling the truth. Believe me, I know it. For the stuff I do on just right here in these videos, I've lost more famous friends than you can imagine, because it gets pretty tense sometimes. But anyway, that's all I want to say. I'm Dr. Boyce Watkins from Your Black World. Please take care. God bless. I'm gone. Peace.